Good evening. Let me welcome everybody to the July meeting of the Sand Springs Board of Education. Thank you all for joining us tonight. It's an honor that we get to serve the kids and the community of Sand Springs. So with that, I would like to call the meeting to order and ask for a roll call, please.
Hanlon, Noggle, Spoon,
Here.
Wagers,
Here.
Mullins.
Aye. Would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next item is opportunity for the public to be heard. Do we have anybody sign in? There's none, so we'll move on to item number 4. Just make a comment real quick. We typically have, this is the time where we give recognitions and celebrations, but being summertime, we don't have any tonight, so we'll probably pick up on those again in August or September. So I appreciate the staff making nominations and recognizing people, because that's fun for the recipients. It's also fun for us, I promise you that. Item number 4, discussion and review of instructional strategies. Ms. Durkee, could you lead us through student empowerment and staff empowerment, please?
Absolutely. It is July, and so we're wrapping up old, bringing in the new year. So, but lots of fun things to report. Clint Treese did not come tonight, but he did send the service record for Family and Children's Services. As you know, that's the counseling contract MOU we have with now Family and Children's Services, but formerly Daybreak. Same people, but I thought it's always healthy to go over the number of clients they see at each side every year. And you probably know this already, but we've literally doubled the number of counselors and added a home resource as well. So good partner, good statistics. I think we're reaching a lot of people that have a lot of needs mental health wise and family circumstances, and it's good to see that report every year.
Can we share this also with Berry Hill or
Absolutely.
one of the other surrounding districts? They use the same.
So I know Broken Arrow uses them. There's probably others that has incorporated Daybreak. I feel like we probably are one of the longest standing relationships they've had, to be honest with you. And it goes back to Lynetta Sprague when she served as the director of special ed, kind of incorporating that resource. So there are others that do that. BA has a pretty prominent program as well, but I just think there's a lot of need in our district, and so being intentional about getting services to kids is important, and families. So the next piece that I think is pretty fun, although you know me in state testing. However, Oklahoma Public School Resource Center, the organization that's run by now Dr. Grace, we had a notification that out of schools our size, we actually won the Overcomer Award, which means our academic growth was better than every school that's our size, which is pretty cool, to be honest.
Was it a surprise?
It was a shock. I had no, well, kind of, because I had no idea. It was kind of a new thing that she started this year, and so they leveled schools based on size, so Class A, Class 2, and then we had small, large schools, because we aren't quite as big as, obviously, Broken Arrow and Jinx, but it was good, because we have put a huge focus on Tier 1 instruction with district-adopted curriculum and made a big deal out of making sure teachers were following that. So that was a coup for us. It was pretty fun to receive that award. The next one has to do with, I put district benefits. Let me remind myself why the personnel changes. You're going to see a couple of items in the action portion of the agenda that addresses personnel. The attachment that you see was a comparison that was developed by SSEA, comparing how we stand with other districts in regard to benefits. The goal, I think, this year was come to an agreement about personal leave and how we handle it versus others. You'll see some differences and similarities in our districts regarding how much we quote-unquote charge teachers to be gone, specifically in this case personal leave. You'll see two components. One is a request to approve the policy for one additional day for personal leave for both certified and support. Support's a little bit different because we have 10 and 12-month contracts, so it was more for 12-month contracts than it was for 10-month. And then a recension of the restricted leave, because that seemed to really confuse a lot of people of what that was, why it was a different, and it's similar to personal. Today we had a discussion a little bit about bereavement. So if you look at the chart, others call it bereavement. We have emergency days, so in comparison of like the total number of days we have, we allow our staff to exercise what they need to do personally or emergency-wise, it's pretty close to the same. So we had a teacher, if you'll remember, last year or the year before, that kind of got clogged with our old personal leave policy. She took some leave right before Christmas break, and she was charged her daily rate, which was a big chunk of her check in December. So I've kind of named this request after her. We really hated doing that because she was one of those that were pretty loyal to us, to be honest. And so you'll see those later on in the action items.
The way you described it, I get the impression we're trying to take the subjectivity out of it at the supervisor level and try to make it more uniform
Right.
across the district.
Exactly.
So I like that, so.
Right, absolutely. And, you know, you always run the risk, I think, of folks that might abuse leave policy. I think that's common in every organization, not just schools, but, you know, the kind of, you give an inch, take a mile. But truly, it's not frequent, and the folks that need it. So I think it's a really great way to reward our staff, teachers included, that doesn't really cost us a lot of money. Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
For sure. Athletic ticket policy was an item that we talked about last month. We changed the wording. I spoke to Mr. Sitton. He and I think Mr. Noggle had some consistent conversations about what that could look. And honestly, it's an honorable, I think, mission to fill the center of the stadium. That's something that he was very interested in, and I agree. Where we landed, I queried Rod about how many season tickets he actually sells, and he said it's not very many. What I did learn is every student athlete, including band, cheer, dance, managers, trainers, he gives them 2 free tickets to the football games for their parents. So that, and in the reserve sections, that does take quite a bit of space if they come. But there are some folks that really do want to choose their seats. So trying to compromise, we decided we would give them till a certain date that was before Meet the Sandites to allow them to choose their seats for $75, which was the cost of the reserve seat ticket. And then after that, any general admission would allow you to sit in that center section in the seat backs. So that's the change that's on from last time.
I noticed on the policy that was written, though, it said 65. Do we get that changed?
It's 75, which is a change in the minutes, Beth. If the policy that you're reading tonight says 65, it is 75.
Okay.
Yeah, so make a note of that, Beth. Good point.
And Mr. Turkey, the question I had was, I'm gonna buy a season ticket, I wanna get there and everything's fine, I want this particular chair, but I come in late one game, somebody's sitting in my seat, what do I do?
We're going to designate reserved on the chairs.
Okay.
So, I mean, it could be possible for someone just to yank that off, but most people are pretty polite.
Sure.
I feel like we're still going to have staff that manage that, because there could be an occasion where there could be a little bit of a argument about, this is my seat,
Right.
show me a ticket, that kind of thing. So I foresee still needing the Sherry, you know, and
And if you have a
Kathy of
reserve
the world.
seat, you'll have a ticket with the number on it.
That's correct. Yeah, much like you all do too. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And then, of course, I mentioned item number 56, containing 3 student transfer appeals. You guys will go into executive session without me with the information that you have. Remember, per the law, your job is to make sure that the district followed policy, and so that's what you're tasked with tonight as you enter executive session. So, any questions about student-teacher empowerment?
That's good. Thank you, Mr. Turkey. Can you lead us through the resource innovation?
Absolutely. OASA State Revenue Report is there for your perusal. Cassidy has done a fabulous job closing out the year, and we kind of jest a little bit. His target is to come clean with what we get, we spend, and be like spot on. And I think we were within $1,200 last year of being on the target, and similar this year. So he's done a really good job closing out the year and getting us where we need. There's always a little bit of hold your breath for July allocation to know what that's going to be. We kind of fuss and fight a little bit about what's it going to be. Are we going to be over, under? We do that game. They are putting more funding in the formula, but we are down 30 students. So I feel like it's going to be a little up. It's supposed to cover the $2,000 teacher pay raise. You'll also see the salary schedule on the agenda tonight. I am a big believer if teachers are getting the 2,000, our leadership team of 30 ought to as well. So we built that into their salary schedule too. So we'll see. I mean, we're solid no matter what. Financially, we're very stable. So regardless, it's going to be fine. So we'll see. Usually that comes out mid to late July. I don't imagine it'll be any different than it has been in the past. So more to come on that. The bigger, I think, thing is the demolition at Clyde Boyd Middle School, which will translate into Sand Springs Middle School soon. But it's gone. I drove by yesterday, this intersection. So I took some photos after I went. These are earlier photos, but last night when I took the photos, you could definitely see the division with the two classrooms we're keeping on the auditorium side, and you could see straight through to the new building. And then at one point, just the front door was standing, which was incredibly weird. But it's going to look so well. Right now, we're struggling with the address and getting the post office to allow us to keep our current one, which would save a lot of trouble. We'll see how that transpires, because apparently it's a little bit of red tape to make that happen. So you'll see completely gone. I know. It's crazy. But you understand, I mean, you know this. You've seen the renderings. That's going to be a parking lot with a bus loop. So it won't be ready, obviously, by the time school starts, but we're targeting December to have that ready, and it will be amazing. And I don't know if it'll double the parking, but certainly increase. So when it's all said and done, we're going to mimic the parking lot that we added last year on the north side of Pratt, right across that access road on the west side. And so parking shouldn't be a problem anymore at Clyde Boyd. So likely at some point we'll have a board meeting at the new middle school, so in the fall. Please, listen, I'm on it. But absolutely, we were going to do that, if you'll remember, and I ended up being a soaked wet rat. We were going to go peruse the front, and it poured. So I went home with muddy feet, for sure. Yeah, I think, we need to get rid of some. It's causing a lot of problems with sewage, and so that's going to be corrected. So why would you leave them? That kind of stuff. And it's going to be a parking lot. So there's that. Mm-hmm. Right, exactly. I actually, that was, right, you can't see it. I noticed that a long time ago, but, truly, the one in front of the auditorium as well, I hate to say it, but it needs to go. It's creating quite a little mud pool in front of the auditorium. It has for years, so that'll happen. Brent and I have been communicating. 100%. Yep, we're on it, but yes, I would love to take that walk with you. Also, my understanding is the sale of the property that's going to facilitate the data center closed yesterday. I believe that's public knowledge now, so just so you all know. We are set to get our first pre-pilot payment in July, which is an automatic distribution based on our contract, our agreement that we signed and pinned a couple months ago, and that should come mid-July. So help us cover the additional percentage in teacher retirement burden that the district will bear next year. So other than that, a meal price increase, you're going to see that on the agenda. We've talked about that already. Ms. Nydam, she's in and out. There she is. She's got Memphis with her tonight. Sweet little girl. But she can talk through it if you have questions. We have talked about that, and you've seen the comparison between other districts. So one way to keep us solvent, for one, and really also stay in compliance with what the FDA they recommend. So other than that, unless you have questions, I did go on a big diatribe about CAP and our history with the agreement. Well, there's some items in the action items. We changed the way those agreements look. That was a process that was developed in 2008, I believe, back in the Gary Watts days, when we were pretty intent on building an early childhood facility, one of the first in the States, actually. And I feel like that was kind of our pinnacle of being ahead of the game. It was very convoluted. I wanted to have the history in perpetuity, like in writing, because the actual agreement doesn't end until 2048. And I don't know if anybody in this room is going to be sitting on the board or in an administrative position, maybe Cass, I don't know, in 2048. Maybe Alicia, we'll see, maybe. But it was so confusing, so confusing. And it took me, not gonna lie, a few years to wrap my brain around why or how that all transpired. So, I mean, in a nutshell, we had land donated. We leased it to Tulsa Children's Coalition, who supplied the money to build the first phase of the building. And when that happened, we actually, I call it lease to own. It's not the correct legal term, but we subleased it back in order to pay for it to the tune of a lot of money over the course of about 20 years. We made our last balloon payment last July, and there was some discussion about how the contract ends when we finish paying that minuscule piece that we're paying for the next 22 years. To the discussion of maybe we owe them fair market value. And our ears, the antennas went up, and I said, no way. We engaged Gary Watts, as you remember, and more specifically Eric Nelson, who also was in that communication at the beginning. It was a weird deal because once we subleased those classrooms back, as you know, CAP, that provided the early childhood program for families in need, also subleased from Tulsa Children's Coalition. So it was this weird triangular relationship. When we opened the daycare, we took 6 classrooms over from CAP, and the light bulb went off and said, wait a minute, we're paying TCC for that sublease. You should pay us to compensate us for it, which is where the first draft of the agreement went, and then TCC came back and said, let's just deal directly. So in the language change you see tonight, CAP's kind of taken out of that mix, although they'll still pay us the maintenance cost of their portion in an MOU. We're now directly doing business with TCC, and CAP's doing their own thing with TCC. So it clears it up. As much as you can clear that tangled mess up, but at least it's here in a history format in the minutes, or will be in the minutes.
And currently, there's 24 classrooms.
That's
We have
correct.
18, they have 6.
That's correct.
Okay.
Now, my big question to Mr. Nelson this week is if, for whatever reason, we decide we don't need those 6 classrooms, God forbid we would stop a daycare. I don't think that'll ever happen. But if we did, my big question, are we committed to that sublease from them in perpetuity? And the answer to that is no.
Okay.
So if we ever let go of those classrooms, they would have an additional 6 classrooms. They'd either eat sublease to someone else or whatever. So
We'll never go less than 12, though.
right, that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. I mean, what could happen, which would be beautiful, is we'd increase the enrollment of our 4-year-old program.
Exactly.
We enroll probably maybe a little over half the kindergartners that show up the next year, and it's always been our goal to try to increase that. But I will say losing the daycare would be a devastation to people. It has been one of the most important teacher retention and staff retention programs we have. So we'll see where the future
Is that 2
takes
rooms?
us. No, it's 6.
6
All 6 of those
just
classrooms.
for
So
the daycare.
we increased our capacity to 60 babies this year, and it was at 40 at the end of 2026. And we didn't have any more space, basically. So we applied, opened up, we had 4, opened up 2 rooms. We're in the process of equipping them with all the things necessary to make DHS compliance. Our Chelsea's working on 4 stars versus 3. It's a deal. Like, it's a really big deal. I'm so proud of it. It's one of maybe my proudest things that we've done since I've been superintendent. So that'll continue, but we have 6 rooms that are dedicated daycare rooms. So good deal. I think that is the last of the finance and facility piece.
Seeing no questions on that, ask Ms. Durkee to lead us through item number
You bet.
6.
21st Century Program, you guys, had its last day last week. And so unless our grant is successful, that would end the program at Garfield and Northwich, which is terrible. I'm feeling pretty good about it, to be honest. I know Jamie Conrad has been a warrior in promoting that grant, and so we've got it filed. I'm knock on wood, I'm the Pollyanna probably of the group that thinks that we have a really great chance of getting it. We'll find out soon. We'll still continue the Angus Limestone program as well. It's, what year is it, Claudia? Year 3? Yeah, we're going into year 4. Those are all 5-year grants. So, but to be honest, for me, the most important one is the Northwoods Garfield, just because I think the population lends itself to greater need in that area. So, moving on, pre-K enrollment. Lisa has been key on sending out that, they were doing the signing for pre-K. So that's the one trigger that you really never know how that's going to end because they're new to school and you can't identify who they are. We also are getting ready to launch I'm calling it a parent portal, Lisa. What is it? It's like All Things Sand Springs for parents, how to enroll, Back to School Hub. It has a formal name. It's on the website now, so it's kind of cool. I mean, it's a go-to for the parents to learn all the things that they need to do before school starts. So all the information is there, and thank you, Lisa, and this is Lisa's 5-year anniversary, by the way. She posted that, yay! She's been amazing. And then there is one.
Officially a sand night now, right? So
Officially.
5 years, I like it.
Absolutely. She just did the renderings for our T-shirts, like our theme. I'm not gonna, no spoiler alert, but they came in today too, so we're getting ready to try to get a quote for that. So then the last thing in this area is just to mention, by the way, we are asking the board to approve in the consent agenda a service called Thought Exchange. It's a survey tool. We've been using SurveyMonkey, which is fine. It's just very minimalistic in what kind of data it provides. So when you go to conferences and you see them do a live survey and then you get the word bubble, you've seen those. That's what this is about. The cool part is it doesn't end with just a question. So if someone gives a negative response, do you think the facilities are kept as clean as they should be? No. Then it prompts, can you tell me more about that? Can you explain why? So you get not just, I don't like it, but what could we do to improve? So I think that's going to help us. Claudia uses surveys to the nth degree with all the federal programs. We still utilize the CSI surveys for parents, teachers, and students that we did in the beginning, which seems like eons ago, but we still survey our people quite readily. Those have morphed a little bit over time just because changes happen. But I think this is going to give us a lot more valuable in-depth information than what we've used previously. So.
And they're anonymous, or is it just the parents that get to do it? Or
no, it can be anybody. Well, I could use it as a superintendent with my leadership team and say, hey, we're thinking through how we're going to develop and implement the new recess. That's a whole nother story. I probably need to talk about that tonight too. And get lots of good feedback about, how we can make it different or how it needs to look. So it's really for any kind of source of information you'd want. The board could use it.
And so we'll just have to advertise that on the web page or on Facebook or something.
We do that.
We do survey out, and please join us. And
yep, okay. On the community page, and also parent-teacher conferences. That's the big time we push it out to parents because we have them captured, and so that would be one of the times we would make that available. We've repeated those before too because people just don't respond well. I think to any survey, it's hard to get people to actually, So we're trying to up the percentage of people that respond. I wouldn't even start to guess average percentage of people that respond, but I would venture to say it would be way less than 50, more like probably 25%. It's terrible. So maybe a new mechanism would encourage more participation. So unless you have questions, I think that's it for that one.
No questions, please move us through health and safety issues.
Right. So drug dog program is probably the biggest piece that people need to know about. We are serious about it, and Ryan Bivens doing we've assigned him the task of doing the research with a company called Providence. It was recommended by our resource officer. John Noah started this whole conversation. You know me, I was kind of dragging my feet because I didn't want to make it just gotcha kind of thing. It needs to be preventative. So that's how we're addressing it. Lisa, I think, has already kind of put a little nugget out, and so we'll be sending it some pretty bold messaging about, listen, folks, we need to keep them out of school. Like, gummies have no place, marijuana has no place in our campuses. And so really trying hard to encourage not bringing it versus we're finding people and we have to act and discipline. So it really is about prevention. And then Tulsa Boys Home, they're still without an executive director. I don't know if you realize that. And I think they're slow playing it to get it right, to be honest. We meet with our leadership team 3 times a year individually, and Ashley Wise had her meeting a couple weeks ago, and we talked about mental health at the boys' home, to be honest. We do a really great job bringing family and children's services into all of our sites, but we neglect that one. I really haven't had that conversation with their staff yet, but we're going to, because they do have a DHS service provider that also provides mental health. But from a school standpoint, sometimes there's some disconnect. And so we're really going to kind of propose how we implement some counseling with our school staff alongside the students in the program. So they're down enrollment, by the way, 28 to 30 kids. We typically have 64 at the boys' home, and they're down by about half. So there's some work to do, and really interpretation for us as an admin team. It also does boil down to the support we have in the building with teachers, because historically we've had 4 teachers and a coordinator and a para or 2, and that's a lot of financial support for 30 kids. So we've been reevaluating that. Right now we know we'll have 2 teachers committed, and Ashley Wise will still serve as the coordinator for the program, but beyond that, we're really doing the math. Kristen? Oh, no, not at all. Yeah, right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So just kind of an update with the boys' home. We don't really talk about that much, I don't feel like, and I think it's worthy because they have some big needs there too. So, any questions, health and safety?
Seeing no questions, Ms. Durkee, we'll move on to the consent agenda items. Any item that you want to bring to our attention?
Absolutely. So item number 13 is the treasurer's report, but I would just make mention of the salary compensation schedules that you see there. Cass and his team have to work pretty hard. It's a challenge. Those aren't easy, and there's lots of schedules. So plugging in the raise that was legislated and making sure those are conducive to what we do. So that's one I would point out. Let's see, moving on. Item number 27 and 28 are about Berry Hill. You're going to see 2 instances where we have partnered with them. One is for our Special Education Transition Academy, so accepting a Berry Hill student for that program. And then another interlocal with Berry Hill to share a school psychologist. So how that will work is we will bear the burden of running the payroll, paying that person, and they'll reimburse us for 40% of that cost. So those are unique, by the way, but I think we stand to gain, because that means we get another school psychologist position, which definitely helps us too, and they help pay for it. So those 2 are unique. Item 34 and 36 kind of go together. I've said briefly about the funding for our resource officers, and if we lost funding for any of them, we would support that with district funds. Here's an example. So we're asking the board for approval for the interlocal for one of the officers that we would bear the burden when we say Project 000, that's general fund money. Whereas item 36 is just a continuation of the grant money that we've used in the past to provide the additional 2. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. 38 is the thought exchange.
2 enough, Ms. Durkee?
Yeah.
Is 2 the right number?
Is 2 the right? We have 3, so we're
3 the
keeping-
right number?
I think if we were to ask the public and any administrator, they'd say, can we have 1 in every building? So that's the right number, 1 in every, much like a nurse. We just interviewed today, I say we very loosely, our nursing team interviewed for another nurse, so we're adding an additional. It boils down to budget, to be honest. So taking on an extra cost is a burden. If we can keep a 0 budget, meaning we get and we spend this roughly the same amount, that's always the goal. I just am really careful about biting off recurring costs year after year, because you can't take those back. So to answer your question, the short answer is no, it's not enough. The long answer is, we've
Cassidy's
got,
fault.
it's Cassidy's fault, right?
all
It's
about money.
Cassidy's fault, that's exactly, yeah, that's all that means.
Sorry, Cassidy.
Oh, my gosh. 38 is that thought exchange, service that I was talking about in my notes. 41 is not new, but I mentioned Kim Clenny is gonna be consulting again next year. So I'm happy about that. They fully moved to Arkansas, but it's amazing what you can get done if you are remote, especially if you're Kim. So that's, and I'm not kidding about that. Price of meals, item number 42. Again, if you have questions, Ms. Knight, she's in here. I'm sure she's listening, could answer. And then item 44 and 45, while this isn't atypical, they are a restatement of the resolution, and Cassidy might want to expand a little bit on that.
Yeah, the main one is just a restatement of the 403 plan. So these are just our supplemental retirement plans offered through Market Wealth, and then Pension Solutions, who the whole document is the TPA, which is the third-party administrator. So any of our employees that have questions, they reach out directly to Pension. So the 403 is the only one we're restating. There's a couple price changes on there, but they're not significant. And so I know when I talked to Mark Lester, who's the attorney at Pension Solutions, he said that they had not changed their prices since we, started the plan in 2016. And so I went through there, looked through everything. I think the main thing is to remove spousal consent, which is actually a law in some states. I don't believe Oklahoma is one of them. But right now, ours requires spousal consent. So when you think about that, when employees retire and they want to withdraw from their supplemental retirement funds, right now I believe they would need spousal consent. And that can get really tricky with couples who might be going through divorce, right? So we're going to remove that, and everything else is kind of the same annual agreement.
Do we have a big participation in that supplemental retirement?
No, not really. So it's smaller. I'd love to have Pension or Market Wealth. I think they'd be more than happy to come out and train or just educate our employees, because it's a really great plan that's only offered to government employees.
So Mike, the answer is no, and I hate that, because every year we onboard new people, and I say to every one of them, $100 you're not going to see, especially if they're new and they've never had a paycheck before. And some will take advantage and some won't. And I think it's a missed opportunity, because if you're starting out at 22 or 25, until you're 60, at 40 year, $100 a month is big money. I don't think they just don't see it. So I don't know. We encourage it. I say it every year. It's just really hard to encourage people to take a little bit more out of their check they feel like is minuscule anyway, to be honest. That item number 46 is really for Beth. You mentioned a reference to Twin Cities building, which is true. It's not there anymore. So I think the Twin Cities property might be a better. So we'll notate that in the minutes and then change that agreement with all of it. So that's it, really. Any questions about the consent agenda other than what I've gone over?
Sir, I appreciate you including all of the, what do you call them, handbooks from all the various sites, just to
Right.
compare in the general handbook, so it's in a uniform location. We can all look at it, so thank you.
You can thank Claudia Smith for that, because she is the handbook queen and shares all the things that, and Lisa, but, okay, and Lisa Chittister. Okay, I'll give it to both. Really, though, they handle it. Sites will do addendums. They're all a little bit different because they're different sites, but truly, those are the champions, so.
Thank you all. That's
Yeah.
cool. Any questions on any consent agenda items?
Go ahead.
Mr. President, I would I will make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
We got a motion and a second to approve the items listed on consent agenda items. Are there any
Mr. President.
Oh, he is Mr. President.
Are there any additional questions or comments? I call for a vote, please.
Spoon. Aye. Wagers.
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Moving on to the action items for July 2026 is number 48, proposed executive session to discuss the temporary teacher recommendations for 26-27. Seeing no desire, we will move on to item number 49, a proposed approval of the temporary teacher recommendations for 26-27. for
I'll-
2026 and 27.
I'll make a motion to approve number 49 as stated.
I'll second.
You guys are going to share these things tonight, aren't you?
Well, yeah.
We have a motion and a second to approve temporary teacher recommendations for this coming school year. Any questions or discussion? My only question is, are we totally staffed now as best we can tell? We still got some opens?
We're struggling with special ed this year. I mean, we're working on it, and it's coming, we're doing well. One of the things that slowed us down was the emergency cert portal was down at the end of June, and so that had us a little freaked out. Today, we got verification that it's back up, so that will slow the process down. But honestly, Ms. Slayhuber is not here tonight. She's running camp right now, but mentioned, how do you feel about outsourcing? In other words, going with a company that provides personnel to do special ed, which I hate. I don't want to do it. I'd rather have our employees, our people, just have more continuity. So we'll see. Kristen will remind her that it's too early. We're just now on the 1st of July, so be patient. Because we do a lot of late hires. Like, it'll be August, and we'll still be rolling in people. So we'll see where that goes, but special ed is our big worry. Sandra Boyer is coming back, correct? I'm going to say that right out loud. I don't know if you all remember. Mike, you might. But Sandra worked for us for...
What's the name again?
Sandra Boyer. She worked at Angus in our class for kids with the most severe, profound disabilities. And then she went to Boyd. She's been around forever. I couldn't believe it. She's like Marilyn Clark. So pulled her out of retirement, and she'll be coming back in the fall. So we're
Having
working
a shortage of special ed and then approving these interlocal agreements with other districts to bring special needs kids to us.
correct.
Any concern there?
No, because we have space. So as you know, transfer policy for special ed is
Allows us
different.
to
It's
do it,
based on
right.
solely capacity. So we just don't take very many of them because our programs have historically stayed pretty full.
Okay,
So Berry Hill's instance is a coup because
right.
we do have a transition academy with space, and then it brings a staff member and we get money for it. So I don't know, it's tricky. Alt-Ed is the same way. I mean, we're in a consortium with 3-4 other districts, and we get their Alt-Ed money and we take their kids. Usually they don't send any, but they have a spot if they need to. So I mean, it's kind of a win-win, but I'm more worried about the actual special ed positions in our sites.
Sure.
So.
Is it the lack of potential employees that can do that, or is it we don't pay them enough money?
A little bit of both, probably. Now, I will say we've used our OTEP, the Oklahoma Teacher Empowerment Program. We were one of the pioneers on that one, too. We were one of the first districts to apply a couple of years ago, and we strategized and paid our special education staff 10% versus the required 5%.
Okay.
So we're doing those things. And even our support staff, so the behavior specialists that are in the district, those that are handling the kids that are have the highest needs, we also pay them 10% on top of their salary as a para. So I think we're doing that. I just think there's a lot shortage in it. It's a hard, complicated area. It can be the most litigious, and it's stressful. And I think that's compounds the fact that we also haven't been really great and nice and respectful of teachers over the past long time. So, yeah.
No sense to worry yet, just kind of.
I'm not worried, but I just know there's resources that we'll have to link into that's typically more than what it would be to hire our own people.
Gotcha.
So. Did we? Sweet.
But also, if you go to the website and you look at the job postings that we have, it seems like there's a lot, but we are, it's mandatory that I leave jobs posted for emergency cert people. So we've hired those people, they sign the contract, but until they're approved by the school board, the state school board, I have to leave all those postings up. So people that, there's 10 people from last year that we emergency certed again that have already worked for us. So there's 10 jobs, plus the other people we're hiring. We have hired them, but those jobs have to stay up until they receive that certificate, and then I can take them back down.
You might have seen it. Yeah. Okay, perfect.
Give them real
Right. That's helpful. Our retention rate was still really high, though. I mean, it was still in the high 80s, low 90s, so that's something to be proud of. It's just special ed's kind of a trigger. You said something there was a posting you might have seen, a question about, why are there so many positions? That's the long explanation, but it's hard for people to understand there's requirements and rules that guide us going down those emergency paths. And so while it looks like a lot, some of those are already filled. It's just a rule of the State Department of Ed for emergency cert to leave them up. So anyway, it's a little deceiving.
I guess if somebody applies for one of those that's already filled, that looked like it's still open, you can always tell them it's not
Right.
filled.
Right.
Yes, and I do not take them down until I've seen them as a new hire and they've signed a contract on the dotted line, because I'll have people call to say, well, we're gonna move now, so I'm not taking a position, and then I've taken it down, and then you lose all those applicants once I take it down, so I just leave it up until I have a signature on the
Right.
contract. That's another reason.
I appreciate your comment about outsourcing if we had to on special
Right.
teachers and stuff. That wouldn't be my favorite thing to do, and I agree with you on that. But if it's an option, where do they come from?
You've got me. I have no
Okay,
idea.
'cause we
They're
haven't-
in the area because they come to work. So, I mean, the beauty of it is, I guess, you save benefits, like we're not paying, I mean, they do get benefits, but not, so we don't have to worry about that. But the other part is like personnel issues that could come from a contracted employee that's ours, that goes away. It's just more costly. We had to contract speech pathologist for a long time, you probably remember. And how we've done it, but I think we're full now. All of our speech pathologists are actually ours. But that wasn't the case for a long time either. It's just, it's a hard field. Less and less people are going into teaching in general, but certainly in special ed.
Is there like,
If you contract somebody, is it the same person coming back? Or,
Yeah.
so it's not like
No,
rotating?
no, it's the same person, but still, it's just, I don't know. They end up fitting in eventually, but it's just that I'm not a Sandite-ish feeling that,
it's not like,
right,
uh-huh,
You have the same person through the whole school year.
okay.
That's gonna go do that job that they're a part of you, but yet they're not a part of you because they're contracted
that's right.
with us to work through us. So,
Okay.
I guess like, TCC, like,
Yeah.
those aren't they are our employees, they're standouts to us, they come back each year, but truly they're kind of paid,
Right,
Okay.
it's different.
yeah,
As long as they have the credentials, that would be important. So,
Right.
yeah. Okay, cool,
Right.
thank you.
Yep.
Any further questions on item number 49, which is the approval of temporary teacher recommendations? We got a motion and a second. I call for a vote, please.
Spoon.
Aye.
Wagers.
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item number 50, proposed executive session to discuss employment recommendations for 26-27. Seeing none, we'll move to item number 51, and I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve 51 as stated.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Call for a vote, please.
Spoon.
Aye.
Wagers.
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item 52, proposed approval of reemployment of recommended temporary teachers for 26-27 school year.
right. So I think I mentioned this before, this person ended up at Union before we latched on and got a contract signed, to be honest. Probably more money, I'm not gonna lie, at least in his reflection as he was comparing. I don't know that it was a lot, but, and I don't know what they offered him. They could have bumped it because of, but nonetheless, we lost one. But I would also take you back to, again, to
You're on
item
53, right, Ms. Durkee? We're
Yeah,
still on
am I on the
52.
wrong one?
You got me
Oh, a
confused.
whole list, I'm sorry. We're
That's
gonna talk
okay.
about what I need to
That's
talk about.
okay.
though.
That's
I'm on
okay.
53, yes. Sorry.
And 52 is just
Yes, I get
the
you.
temporary teachers that are on a less than 3-year
Gotcha, yeah.
employment
Sorry, I
with
was
the
skipping
district.
that
Okay.
Oh.
We're good.
I'll make a motion to approve the reemployment of recommended temporary teachers for the 26-27 school year.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Ms. Wagers, a second by Ms. Spoon. Any questions? Call for a
Well-
vote, please.
Spoon.
Oh, aye.
Wagers.
Aye. Sorry, I couldn't
Mullins.
figure out what
Aye.
you said.
I was like, oh, aye. I'm not used to being first
I thought
here.
I thought you said a lie. I was like,
Oh, I.
I think I started this debacle, by the way.
Just so the audience, we got two members, of course, that are on vacation tonight, so there's usually five
Right.
of us, and it's a little different having just three. Item number, and I'm confused now, item 53.
53. The reason this one is important to me is because it's the aviation program, and I was very sad that we lost the union guy, which is not a union guy. He was from somewhere else, but he went to union. But I would point you back to the previous item for teachers, and we've already hired an aviation teacher. So needed to bring that up. By law, and it's perfunctory that we would have to actually accept his, rescind his employment, so.
I'll make a motion to approve number 53 as stated.
I'll second.
And my understanding was the reason he didn't accept here was because of one of our benefits was less than what he was anticipating, and
Yeah,
so dadgum.
I know. Yep, agreed.
Any other questions about item 53? I'd call for a vote, please.
Spoon.
Aye.
Wagers.
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item 54.
So we could do this as a group, or we could do them one at a time, up to you all. The first three, A, B, and C, are the policies that I mentioned in my notes previously, so unless you have questions about those. D and E and F are policies recommended by Carrie Schlehuber. All of these, letter D is probably not required by law. However, we have never had a child fine policy, and it is a law, we're responsible for child fine. So she felt it prudent to have a policy that would actually state, hey, by the way, if we have a child that we think might qualify for disability, it would be important to have that in policy. So that's the reason. Mental health crisis protocol required some updates, which is letter F, and then letter E, extended school year program eligibility standards, which is a regulation, is also a policy change because of the law. So you're going to see more of these too, by the way.
I'm comfortable putting these all together as one motion if the board so sees fit.
Yes.
On the season ticket, I emailed Rod about the 75 versus the 65. He said that it was changed to 65.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So it stands as written. Yes. Okay, thanks, Beth.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the new and revised policies to add to the district policy manual as stated in A through F.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further questions or discussion? Call for a vote, please.
Spoon.
Aye.
Wagers.
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item 55, proposed approval to rescind and remove policy DEAC R9, certified support personal business. That was one we talked about.
That's the one we
previously.
talked about earlier, so that day was added to our personal leave policy.
I'll make a motion to approve number 55 as stated.
I'll second.
A motion and a second to remove a policy. Any questions? Call for a vote, please.
Spoon.
Aye.
Wagers.
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item 56, entertain a motion to recess to executive session to discuss, consider the appeal of denied students' transfer with the review of confidential educational records and transfer requests of the students.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second.
A motion to go to executive session. Call for a vote, please.
Spoon.
Aye.
Wagers.
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Thank you for the indulgence of allowing us to go to executive session. We don't have to have a motion to return to open session, I don't believe we do.
No, I don't think
So
so.
we're now in open session. The time is 8:10. While in executive session, the board discussed the following. We talked about student transfer denial appeals. Those present were Mullen, Spoon, and Waiters, and no other matters were discussed and no votes were taken. We will now move to item number 57. Let me talk one thing real quick, though. The discussion that we had, we look at what the information that was provided to the board from the superintendent. We compare that to the district policy to make sure that the superintendent followed the district policies, and that's what our decision is based upon. So I'll move to item number 57.
I will make a motion to vote to accept the decision of the superintendent to deny transfer requests of student A, student B, and student C.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Ms. Wagers, a second by Ms. Spoon to accept the decision of superintendent to deny transfer request. Any questions or discussion from the board? I call for a vote, please.
Spoon,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye. Item number 58.
Right, so, our computer, those are the three agreements that we discussed earlier. Two are what we do every year with, agreements with CAP. So typically you see these on the consent agenda, so, sorry, the public can't hear me. Let me pull it up so I can pull the link real quick. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. I just want to get them right because they are labeled differently than they have been in the past. Okay, so item number 58 is amendment of the operating agreement. So this would be the agreement between CAP and ourselves that would dictate the percentage of responsibility for maintenance of the building. So historically, when we shared 50/50, they would pay for 50% of their share of the cost of insurance, custodial, any kind of repair, and we decreased that to 25. That would still be in effect. Still be responsible for paying us for their share of the operation. That one is that one. I think it might behoove us to talk about all three of them at one time. Because it goes alongside my notes, if you don't mind. Item number. Item number 59 is the first amendment to the ground lease. And this is the part that I think we were most intense about getting in writing because this is the document that would execute and show in 2048 what would happen to the actual ownership. And so I would direct you to item number 1 on this document, section 1. I'm going to read that out loud just so people can hear. The first couple of sentences. Really important for the avoidance of doubt upon the natural expiration of the 40-year term on May 7, 2048. No payment shall be due or owing from the district to TCC under this section, or otherwise account of TCC's equity in the facility. Upon such expiration, TCC shall execute and deliver to the district at no cost to the district, a bill of sale, quitclaim deed, or such other instrument as may be reasonable and necessary to convey, transfer, and assign the district all of TCC's rights, title, and interest to the facility. That's important. Because the discussion up until we finalized this and agreement with TCC was that we would owe fair market value, which could be very pricey at the expiration of the contract. So that's the part I'm most proud of. Any question about that's really important.
Ms. Spoon will know all that, will know all that, 2048.
Right, exactly, well, you're gonna have to refer back, make good notes, that's all I'm gonna say.
Gonna save this as one of my favorites.
Right, right. And then item number 60 is that change document that got really confusing about who subleases from who. This clarifies that our sublease agreement is strictly with TCC. We won't be paying cap. Who then would pay TCC? Takes cap out of the middle of that relationship. So any questions about that?
All of these documents prepared by the legal staff are.
That's correct. Eric Nelson was responsible for really the bulk of it. I know Cassidy was in conversations with a new CFO from cabinet, and it got a little. I don't want to say it got sticky, but there were some disagreements about what happened at the end of the agreement, the expiration 2048, and Gary Watts was very solid on what was intended to happen, and so we just needed some clarity because it was confusing. So in their defense, it was a confusing oration of the history.
And in their opinion, what we've written now is clear and precise.
Eric Nelson might have more pointed words about clear and concise and was at the time of development of the actual original agreement. I'll not go into detail about his exact words. He was really pointed. It was very professional, but also stern about any lawyer should understand the intent of the law when it came to these kinds of agreements. And he was right. So it was well received when it was all said and done. So this was really important. I think me specifically, but then for
My recollection from 2008 is not good, but I do recall that it was contentious at the time, challenging because of 4 years. Oh my goodness,
it's a long time, right?
But I do recall that I did not know that we were paying it down and we'd get this balloon payment news to me last year. I do recall that after the terms of it was ours.
Exactly.
That was a big deal at the time.
Right.
So,
Mr. Hickey, I would just add that operations talks about the termination as well, and defines that. And so it was important that all three documents align with that kind of initial disagreement on what termination.
You'll continue to see these documents on the board agenda each year. That's important as well. So, again.
2048.
I know, it'll just be a repeat, ordinarily, and probably from the stay forward versus much time talking about the agreements, they'll be part of the consent agenda like they ordinarily are. So it'll be simpler.
My suggestion is we treat these individually as a motion.
Agreed.
So I would entertain a motion, item number 58.
I'll make a motion to approve number 58 as stated.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there questions? Call for a vote, please.
Spoon, Wagers, Mullins.
Aye.
Item 59.
I'll make a motion to vote to approve the First Amendment to the ground lease as stated in 59.
Oh, I'll second.
You have a motion, second. Any questions or discussion? Call for a vote, please.
Spoon, Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins.
Item number 60.
I'll make a motion to approve the sublease agreement dated as of July 1st, 2026, as stated in number 60.
I will second.
Motion, Ms. Wagers, second by Ms. Spoon. Any questions or discussion? Call for a vote, please. Beth?
Spoon, Wagers, Mullins.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Item number 61, any matter that could not be foreseen in advance of the posting of the agenda? Any announcements?
I make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn by Ms. Spoon.
I will second.
Second by Ms. Wagers. Call for a vote, please.
Spoon, Wagers,
Aye.
Mullins.
Aye.
Mullins.
Thank you all for joining us.